welcome to another Mando Lessons Live. It's great to have you all here. Hope you are having a wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Is there anyone ever watching when it's not Saturday? I don't know how time zones work. There's got to be somewhere where it's not Saturday, right? If it's not Saturday where you are, let me know. We can all learn something about time zones. We got all sorts of folks here, some new names in the chat. Great to see you all. We got Carter, Lindsay, Lewis, Sheldon, Jim. Apologies, I cannot read your name from Tel Aviv, but so happy you're joining us. Denise, Joe, Mandolin Pirate. All right. Ahoy, matey. Moity from Vermont. I'm probably not saying that name correctly either. Robert, Sheldon again, and now I'm just repeating myself. Sherry, Ursanos, Betsy. Great to see you all here. Hope you're having a great day. If you haven't been to one of these before, let me know in the chat. Let me know if this is your first time. Let me know if you just got a mandolin. I love seeing what everybody's up to in the chat. The way these work is it's just an hour of Q&A. So if you got questions, I've got answers. And if I don't have answers, I'll make something up and try to be entertaining along the way. Yeah, I think that about covers it. That first tune that I played right there was Salt Creek. It's the tune of the week. So we're going to play that tune at the end of the hour together, jam along a little bit. No question is too simple, no question too advanced. I appreciate all the support. I got a bunch of folks here that are from, that support me on Patreon. Really appreciate it. A bunch of patrons in the chat. Hello to you all. There's links in the description. People also throw out super chats, which is always appreciated. Not required, but helps me put this stuff on. And yeah, all right. Let's see, I'll catch up with the chat here. All right, Lewis says, news. Bluegrass Museum in Owensboro, Kentucky restarted the open jams Saturday and Sunday, 1:30 to 4:30. Gonna hit the road soon. Have fun, Lewis, and maybe you'll see some other fellow live stream attendees there. If you're in the area, go to that jam. Let's see. Yes, office hours. Lewis says office hours tomorrow. For anyone that supports me on Patreon, $5 a month or more. I do a patron-only live stream. That's kind of like this, except I can kind of go a little more in-depth into the questions because there's less people there. And I can kind of take a little more time with everybody and catch up a little more. So yes, tomorrow is that patron-only live stream. So see you there, Lewis, and have fun at the jam again. Yep, got the 10-string back indeed. Lewis says the beast is out of the shop. Yep, so this thing was just in for, I tried to hot rod it myself and cut some nut slots poorly, so I had to take it to a professional and have them undo the damage that I did. But not the end of the world. And it's back, so that's always fun. Unfortunately, now the other beast, the car, is now in the shop. My partner Emma went on a hike yesterday out east of Portland, Oregon, where we live, and somebody smashed a bunch of windows in the parking lot of like a bunch of different cars, including ours. So she is currently actually getting our car fixed. So the one beast out of the shop, another one in. That car has had a rough year. Had a tree fall on it. Now it's got a window smashed, but not the end of the world. What you gonna do? All right, now I'm getting real off track. I'll never get to the end of keep up with the chat this time. All right. From Skook, British Columbia. Waterloo, Ontario. All over the world. Michigan. Sorry, I got off track and now I gotta catch up with all the chat again. All right, Robert, brand new player from Maryland. Welcome to the wonderful world of mandolins. Got some Michigan contact going on. Love to see it. Been playing about a year as Mando Pirate. Oh, cool, awesome. I started you out about a year ago. Well, thanks for joining the live stream. Always fun. Ooh, nice. Moity, again, I'm probably not saying your name correctly, says, awaiting the mandolin. Hasn't arrived yet. That's always fun. I get real addicted to checking the the tracking information whenever there's something fun in the mail. Yep, got the smart mandolin mandola back. So for anyone that hasn't seen this thing, 'cause it's been a little while, it's a 10-string. And it's tuned like a mandolin, but then it has a low C string like a mandola. So it's a mandola and a mandolin all in one. I kind of think of it as a 10-string mandola because the scale length is mandola length, but it has a high E. See, just started trying my hand at this is from Ursanos, working on Whiskey Before Breakfast. Excellent. Apart from getting that 6th fret on the G string, I'm amazed at how easy it's coming. That's not Whiskey Before Breakfast. Yeah, you can do that. I've got too many versions of Whiskey Before Breakfast in my head. Sometimes I skip that 6th and just do something like, no, that's the wrong tune again. No, that's right. Oh, it does have that 6. You're right. I was starting to question whether there was actually a 6th in there. 6th fret on the G string. Yeah, the more you do it, the more you kind of, it's unfamiliar often to kind of go for that 6th fret because we don't use it all that much, but the more you do it, the quicker it comes. And I'm glad you're having fun with that tune. One of the best tunes of all times. Cheryl from New Mexico. Good to have you here. Need to speed up my picking. How do I do it? I'm picking at 200 beats per minute and faster. I mean, I think ultimately, I've got a couple lessons on this on my website. I really like using a metronome, so I'll pull up my metronome here. It's just an app on my phone. There's lots of free metronome apps that are really helpful. I use one called Metro Timer on iPhone, but maybe it's for Android too. No idea. Yeah. I usually use metronomes pretty slow. Gotta get it clicking. Hopefully that'll come through. The thing to do is find a speed with a metronome that you know you can play nice and relaxed at. So as relaxed as you can be, nice clean picking with no mistakes. Figure out what that tempo is for whatever, probably depends on the tune. So pick a tune you really know well, and really figure out where it is that you can play a tune, a couple times through without making any mistakes, staying nice and relaxed. And then from there, once you have that, just bump up the metronome a couple beats. So, if you're at like 95, say, hey, I'm pretty relaxed here. And then say, okay, can I do 100? Great. Can I do 110? And maybe you get to 110 and you start to feel yourself kind of season up a little bit. The music's not coming out as nice. At that point, dial it back to where you're nice and comfortable. Play it a bunch of times at that speed, and then just bump it up a couple beats per minute, like 2 beats per minute at a time, and try to stay relaxed, really focus on being relaxed and make sure the music's coming out good. It's a very gradual process. It's not like, learning a tune or a piece of music where, you sit down and maybe you learn one of the fiddle tunes I've got on my website, and then, great, you've got it. And you've got to practice it a little bit, a couple times over the next couple of weeks, but then it's kind of there. It's like a you don't know it and then a you know it moment. It's not the same thing with speed. It's very gradual. It takes days and months and weeks and years, and there's always improvements to be made. There's no like, I can play fast now, click. So just keep at it, staying relaxed, working in small increments of speed increase will help you out, I think. Mandolin. hello from Virginia. Kenneth, good to have you here. Good to see you. A regular live streamer and patron. What do you think of the LR Bags Radius pickup? Never used one. Is that like a piezo? I think it's like the old piezos that often go in through the end pin, or sometimes they'll clamp onto the side. I've used some K&K pickups in guitars, not very much. I mostly just use microphones, sometimes clip-on mics. So I don't have a lot of experience with piezo pickups on mandolins, but I feel like I've heard good things about it. I would ask Mandolin Cafe, or maybe somebody here in the chat has used one of those. I can't really comment because I've never used it. Sherry says, love the shirt. Yeah, so this is a camp that I teach at every year called Fiddle Hell. Surprise, surprise. And this was they do a shirt every year. This is the online 2020 shirt. It's a really fun festival. They're going to continue doing it. You can find out all the information about it at fiddlehell.org, I believe. And normally, before the pandemic, it was in kind of central Massachusetts in a big convention center and hotel, where everybody just gets together. There's like 500 people that, they totally sell out the hotel side, and then every convention room and some of the hotel rooms turn into little workshop areas, and it's all instruments, all skill levels, lots of jamming, lots of good times. And it's a fun weekend. There's like hundreds of workshops over the course of the weekend, 100 concerts, like 200 teachers. I mean, I've got on the back of the shirt everyone that was. I can't see myself, so hopefully you can see a little of that. Tons of staff. It's just a really fun time. I highly recommend it if you're interested in going to that. They're not going to do it this year. They're going to do Fiddle Hell online again. And then going forward, I think there's going to be a spring online Fiddle Hell, and then a fall in-person Fiddle Hell in 2022. So best of both worlds. So it's not part of my merch. I do have merch. I happen to be drinking out of my merch right now. It's another way to support me if you're so inclined. I've got mugs. Nice little mandolin headstock logo thing. And I've got t-shirts, tote bags, all kinds of fun stuff. Stickers, you name it. It's all over there. Links in the description. Alright, let's see. This is great. I love it when I can't keep up with the chat. It means y'all are having a good time. Alright. Bags. Alright, Stephen and Peter. Hey, Hillsboro, right down the road from me. First timer from Wyoming, Kathy. Good to have you here. Glad you're enjoying the lessons and glad you're enjoying the mandolin. Jim Taylor says the grandkids are saying hi. Hi, Jim's grandkids. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're, I don't know if you're mandolin players, but you should be, because it's a fun instrument. And I bet your Grandpa Jim can let you strum on his. Anyway, it's a fun time. So, good to have you here. Carter says, wish I didn't have to work during the live streams, but it's nice to stop in even for a bit. Great to have you here. Glad you can sneak me in a little bit. Yep, Lewis says I skipped the 6th fret and play chords to finish the A part. Yeah, there's a lot of different versions of Whiskey Before Breakfast, so listen around and see what you like. Hey Dan, good to have you here. A little bit late, no problem. Good to be back. Yeah, I had a week off last week, and maybe the one before, but back at it. Robert says, we're struggling with learning picking patterns. Any tips or advice? Picking patterns, like speed that I was just talking about, it really kind of takes time. It will come to you. I think, being relaxed and kind of understanding the fundamentals. So, if you're playing a reel or a tune in 4/4 or 2/4, 2/2, whatever you want to call it, like Whiskey Before Breakfast, your right hand picking pattern is always down, up, 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 down, up. So whether you're doing chords, my right hand still doing that down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And sometimes I'm just missing the strings. Or if I'm playing a melody. One, two, and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down. It's that same right hand thing. A great practice is to just mute the strings like I'm doing here. And just go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then maybe make a little pattern. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. Because if you do 2 downs in a row, you gotta come up, so your hand's still doing the same movement. Down, down, up, 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 down. Little patterns like that. You can just use the instrument as a percussive instrument to play along with recordings. Whatever you like to do. So that'll, and the more you do it, the more it'll become natural, and at some point you really kind of get to stop thinking about it altogether, and your hand just has the muscle memory to do its own thing. Yeah, Alan says Mike Marshall was doing a podcast and was talking about increasing the metronome by single steps so you barely notice the change. Exactly, yeah, just tiny little increments. And they add up over time. Can I play a little Jerusalem Ridge? I'll try, yeah. I can't. This is the tune with like 5 parts. I'll try. We'll see. I can't do it. It's been years. I wish I could get that tune out. Great tune. Can't remember it. I'll try to work that one up, though. What's the most piratey sounding tune that I know? Oh, that's maybe Sailor's Hornpipe. You know that tune? Whoa! I'll try. Kind of put on a regular mandolin. This one's throwing me off. And haven't played it enough lately. All right. I don't know. I'll be able to do this, but Sailor's Hornpipe. There's a lesson for it on my website. I just haven't played it in 10 years. There it is. That's a couple tunes right in a row that I really don't know how to play anymore. Sailor's Hornpipe, though, on my website. Highly recommend you learn it. It's a classic, very piratey. It's about sailors. What more can you want? Can I play some fiddle? I wish I could, but I don't play fiddle. I play with a lot of fiddle players. I get to hear a lot of good fiddle, but I can't play it myself. Yeah, I highly recommend checking out Fiddle Hell online. It's a good time. All right, Lewis is heading out. Safe travels, and see you soon, Lewis. See you tomorrow. A pedal steel behind me. Yep, I'm a very amateur pedal steel player. That's a real mind-bending instrument. Would I consider doing a lesson on country or indie? Not really. I don't really play kind of modern music all that much. Also, there's copyright restrictions where you can kind of get yourself into trouble by playing copyrighted music. So I kind of steer towards the public domain stuff. It's also kind of the only thing that I play is fiddle tunes. So that's I can't really teach what I don't know how to do. Yes, it is the Popeye. I think it is the Popeye song. I mean, it's not the theme song, but I think it is in Popeye. Sailor's Hornpipe. Oh, nice. Mando Pirate already has learned Sailor's Hornpipe. Glad to hear it. Which one is my favorite mandolin? I think this, it's hard to say. They're all a little different. This is the mandolin that I've had the longest and play the most, the Ellis. But, I mean, this thing is kind of more of a mandola than a mandolin, but I totally love it. And then I've got the old Gibson oval hole that has a little different sound, a little rounder. So they're all fun. I mean, I definitely play the Ellis the most. Alright. Road to Lisdoon Varna sounds very piratey. That's a great tune. Nice Irish tune. Tom Mason for pirate tunes. Cool. I don't know Tom Mason. But you're right. Kind of piratey. I like that. Great tune. Irish Slide. The Road to Lisdoon Varna. Good call, Betsy. Steven says, I play Sailor's Hornpipe for my grandson. Oh, I play my grandson asked me to play the pirate tune, all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order. Have you ever tried playing fiddle? I have. I took fiddle lessons for about a year. Ultimately, I had trouble because of my technique wasn't very good, and I kind of it would kind of mess with my elbow a little bit, so I kind of put the fiddle down. Occasionally, if it's late enough at night, I'll pick up a fiddle and scratch around on it. But I don't really. I've tried, but not very much. Hi from Belfast. Good to have you here. Yeah, the Gibson is a fun one. I love the old round holes. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Helps me do these live streams. So, thanks very much. Nice. Adam also says, Fiddle Hell is a blast. Attended virtually for my first one this past year, and it was great. Yeah, super fun time. There's so many. I just it's super fun to teach there, but also I just love going to the workshops as well and checking out what everybody else has to say and play. All right, I think I caught up with the chat. I'm a little scattered, so if I missed something, by all means, just ask it again if I missed your question. I'll play a tune here. Ooh, I'll play a tune I just learned. If I can remember how it goes. I can't remember what it's called right now. Just learned. I can figure it out. I'll cheat. What is that tune called? Oh yeah, Devaney or Devaney's Goat, Irish reel in the key of D. Very fun. That's a tune. A lot of Irish tunes, especially. You know, I go to Irish sessions and everyone just plays the tunes they know, and when I don't know a tune, it just kind of sticks in my mind sometimes, or I hear it enough that I can kind of fake my way through it. But never really sit down to learn it. And that's totally one of those tunes where it's like, oh yeah, I know like 75% of this tune. I can fake it. But I sat down the other day and got all those notes I was missing. Show some variations you play on Behind the Haystack on the repeating phrases. Great question. I just taught a Behind the Haystack to a friend of mine, a violin player who wanted to try out a mandolin. All right, Behind the Haystack. Yeah, so there's lots of little things you can do. So Behind the Haystack, a very repetitive 3-part tune that has the same phrase in all 3 parts. Sounds the and the repeating phrases, and then is the other one, and then the B part. C part. So you play that kind of ending phrase, the kind of call and response phrase, the response phrase of the call and response phrase, a lot. So what can I do to vary it? I'll play it and sort of try to see if I can come up with anything. there's a couple little things I'm doing there. Or kind of throwing in little bits of variation, or you can do some triplets. Things like that. Play around with it. See what other people are doing. Great question, though. There's a little bit to think about. Joe says, got my 40-year-old mandolin out a year ago. Found your site, upgraded to a better instrument, and I've had a year of great learning. So glad to hear it. Glad you got some music going in your life. That's always a special thing. Play the first tune you ever learned. Great question. The first tune, how does that tune go? The first tune I ever heard was, or like kind of consciously heard that it was a fiddle tune, like kind of knowing that it was a fiddle tune, was Smash the Windows, an Irish jig. I might be getting the B part mixed up. That was the right A part. Anyway, I don't really play that tune. That's the first one I kind of remember hearing. The first tune I learned, that's a good question. The first tune I think I really latched onto was Turkey in the Straw. Very notey tune, and I think I just was like, wow, I was playing it at like this speed. But it was a tune that I kind of was familiar with in my head. Either that or like Angeline the Baker, maybe. That's a good question. I don't have a very good memory, so I don't tend to remember specifics like that. Hello from Brazil. Welcome. So glad you can join us. How do I play East Tennessee Blues? Here's a little bit of East Tennessee Blues. I haven't done that one in a while either. You guys are pulling out all the classics that I don't really remember how to play. Do they make kid-sized mandolins? They make mandolins that are slightly smaller. I've seen mandolins. Some old mandolins have violin scale length, which is a little closer to like 13-inch scale. I think Big Muddy, or is it Big Muddy or Mid-Mo? I can't remember. It changed its name like 10 years ago, and I can't remember which way it went. I think it's Big Muddy now. Or Mid-Missouri. Anyway, they make a 13-inch scale. I think in general, you know, I've taught pretty young kids how to play, and for the most part, I think it's doable. So, you know, even if it's just a regular size mandolin and you can get them just making sound on it, that's a good start for sure. Or like get like a ukulele. Not the same tuning, but very fun and a little easier on the fingers and a little smaller. Got some good pedal steel E9 tuning info from Gary. Yeah, that's all correct information. I wish I would master it soon, but that's a kind of a lifelong instrument. For me, I don't get to play it too much, and actually the first gig that I've played or I don't know that we're necessarily post-pandemic, but when things started to open up again, the first gig that I've played a couple months ago was on pedal steel. A friend of mine got me to go up to Seattle and play pedal steel in a kind of makeshift country band for his mom's retirement party. It was very fun. Have you done Midnight on the Water? I have not, but only because it's copyrighted. It was written by Luke Thomason, I believe. Mandolins are kid size. Do you use mandolin picks or guitar picks? Mandolin picks for the most part kind of are guitar picks. A lot of mandolin players, I'll start out by saying it's all personal preference. So I've got a ton of picks that are kind of more guitar shaped, you know, just kind of the teardrop shape. But put it over this, get a little better view. So these are kind of thinner guitar style picks. A lot of mandolin players like these larger kind of triangle shape, a little bit thicker. The kind of a very classic mandolin pick shape and size is this large triangle and around 1.5 millimeters. But it kind of depends on the instrument. Like this is a modern built bluegrass style mandolin, so I use a big heavy pick. But also if I'm gonna play that Gibson, then I'll use a thinner pick just because it's kind of lighter built, older instrument. It's a little rounder sounding, so I can get away with kind of brings out some of the brightness by using a thinner pick. But it's all personal preference, whatever you prefer. It seems like you play by ear. Do you have perfect pitch? I do not have perfect pitch. I have mediocre relative pitch. A relative pitch is sort of like if somebody says, here's a G, what's that note? I can kind of figure it out. I'm like, oh, it's on the fifth maybe, so is it a D? I do not have perfect pitch. I don't even have great relative pitch. But the more you do it, the better you get. Some comments about my memory. The only thing I tend to remember is fiddle tunes and useless information, kind of like trivial trivia from the past. But like experiences are not something that I tend to remember. Blackberry Blossom, sure. Hard to get the time down at a faster pace. Yeah, this tune is really notey and really kind of all over the fingerboard. I'm all over the place today. Let's try that again. There's a little rough and ready version of whatever that tune is. Blackberry Blossom. Yeah, I think part of it's really bouncy. It uses your pinky. I struggled playing that tune fast as well. I like that. The idea of walking in a pair of pants that had been bronzed. So sounds like a very interesting. Yeah. So yeah, whatever works for you. Like, I think it's a good use of a couple bucks to go to a music store and just get most picks are pretty cheap. Like these nylon ones are like 50 cents a piece. Spend $2 on various size of pick, see what you like the kind of shape of and the thickness of. And then once you figure that out, then you can get into what's it made out of? That's kind of a secondary thing. You can get expensive picks, but I say just start out with the cheap stuff. Even these ones are Dunlop Prime Tone picks, and they're $1 or $2 a piece. They're not wildly expensive. Can I play St. Anne's Reel as fast as I'm comfortable? Sure, I'll do that on the Ellis. Because I can play most comfortably on the Ellis, and therefore as quick as possible on the Ellis. Let's see. I'm not the... we'll see what happens. St. Anne's Reel. Is that St. Anne's Reel? Yeah. Start out slow so I can remember it. Oh, I can feel... it doesn't feel very good to me. I just feel like all the tension, my arm gets super tense, my playing gets super sloppy. But that's about as fast as I can play. It's good to... as much as... I teach, in order to speed up, play slower. I think it's also good, I think the way to real improvement is kind of slow and steady, making sure you're nice and relaxed and everything. But there's something to be said for playing way faster than you can just to know what it feels like. When I play that fast, it becomes very apparent what's falling apart. My whole arm just seizes up. My pick kind of can't just hit one set of strings at a time. But it also gives me the physical sensation of this is what it feels like to play really, really fast. Even if it doesn't sound very good or isn't very comfortable to do, just doing it for 30 seconds can teach you things about sort of what it feels like to play faster, what the physical sensation is like, and also kind of what falls apart in your technique as you go. Fisher's Hornpipe. I can try to do a little bit of that one. Also a good pirate tune. Big Muddy Mandolin, also on Facebook. Nice. So it is Big Muddy. I think 10 years ago it was called Mid-Missouri. But it changed names at some point. Not anytime. I think it's been Big Muddy for a decade, but the first name stuck with me. What kind of nut do you have on the Gibson? It's a bone nut. I think that's the same as on everything. Sierra's. Oh yeah, I saw that Sierra Hull is has an Artist Works class. That's very cool. I haven't seen it. I haven't checked it out myself, but looks great. Sierra's awesome. Yeah. Denise, I agree. Denise says tunes lose their pretty when played fast. Yeah, there's a certain. I mean, you get a certain energy from playing fast. It's like, whoa, fast, yeah. But you know, left to my own devices, I like. You know, a little slower. That's kind of my go-to speed, where everything's nice and comfortable and it takes a little. You can kind of hear the chord changes a little better by kind of slowing down. Get to hear the mandolin ring out a little bit more. Nice. E-Trekker 1775 is signed up for the Sierra class. Definitely let us know how it goes. Metallica mandolin. Yeah, I wish I could play some Metallica, but it's not my forte. Yeah, seems like the arm seizing up and consciously relaxing as I play helps me play faster and smoother. Definitely, like you'll often, if you pay attention to like when I play, you'll see me kind of like roll my shoulders a lot, and I'll just do it mid playing. Like if I'm really going. Like when I feel tension, I've worked enough with like knowing what it feels like to be relaxed and what it feels like to not be relaxed, that I'll often try to correct while playing. The faster I play, the harder it is to correct while playing. Oh, cool. Wow. Betsy says your local library may provide free access to artist works. That's amazing. I'll have to look into that. Oh, it was a lawsuit that made the name change. Yeah, Doc can play so fast and so clean. Explain very simply what is a double stop. Yes, so the name comes from stop. So like you can call like fretting a note stopping a string. Like so that's just kind of a different name for it. So a double stop is stopping two different strings, or on the mandolin, two sets of strings. So a double stop would be like 5th fret on the D string and 2nd fret on the A string. It's a little like partial chord of just two sets of strings. So the name kind of gets used in different ways. Like I think you could call that a double stop. G and D, you know, you're hitting two strings at once, your fingers aren't on the fretboard, but I would still call that a double stop. And then there's also kind of stylistic ways of using double stops. Like in bluegrass, you hear a lot of the sort of like where you have kind of two melody lines going at once, or like melody and harmony. So it's kind of a stylistic double stop way of playing where you're using lots of double stops that you'll hear a lot in bluegrass. All Things was past 50th anniversary. Wow. There you go. The new release is getting bad reviews for the new mix. Yeah, people get attached to the way things sound, and you change it a little bit and remaster it, and some people aren't going to like it as much. I don't know any. First of all, it'd be a copyright thing, but also I'm just a fiddle tune guy. I don't do much more than that. How long have you been playing? I've learned a lot from your channel. Cool. So glad to hear it. I've been playing for... I like to count from the year 2000 because it's easy to count from. So I guess 21 years, if it's 2021. That math checks out, right? Yeah. So a little over 2 decades. Or like 2/3 of my life. All right. Yep, 2 strings at a time. Got some double stop info. All good stuff. Yes, Chuck Berry, known for double stops on guitar. I love Chuck Berry. Is there a solid way to tell what notes are harmony together? Yes, it's into the realm of music theory. I think there's a couple ways you can approach it. Like if there's a guitar player playing G, C, and D chords, your ear will probably guide you to kind of, if you play something, it's like, oh, here's a G chord, and then you go, it's like, oh, that doesn't sound good with the G chord. No, that doesn't sound good either. But then you hit, oh, hey, that sounds pretty good. So your ear will tell you when you're doing the right thing, kind of hitting the right combination of notes. But you can also think of it using a little bit of music theory, where you need to know what notes how to build a chord. And I've got lessons on this on my website. But ultimately, if you're in the key of G, you can use a G scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and take the root, the third, and the fifth note of the scale. So G, B, D, G, B, D. Those are all great notes to use for double stops in the key of G. That's how you build a G chord, is you have G, D, B, G, kind of spread out in a way that sounds good and is comfortable for your fingers. It's kind of an ergonomic shape, because if you stack it straight up, G, B, D, those are all on the same string. Like, you can't play a G and a B at the same time on the mandolin, so you got to space the instrument out, or space the notes out across the instrument. But then you can say, okay, I've got a G here and a B here. It's kind of all connected. You've got double stops, you've got chords, you've got scales, you've got arpeggios. So if you play straight through G, B, D, G, B, D, G, B, D, you've got arpeggios. And then if you put a couple of those together, say, all right, I want a G double stop. Well, there's a G, there's a B below it. 4th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the D. Or G and the B on the A string. Or the G and the D on the A string. Or the D on the A string and the G on the E string. Or D on the A string, 7th fret is a B on the E string. So you get all these. Lots of different options for double stops. Then you can do the same thing with C and D chords. Let's see. Do you ever play slash chords on mandolin, or is it for piano only? I don't really know. I know the term slash chords. If you can explain what that means. Oh. I'll just look it up. Bass note or inversion is indicated. Oh, yeah. So like a chord with a slash and then... So yeah, that's like... The idea is... So if you see a chord that's like a G slash B, it just means that you have a B in the... You're playing a G major chord. And then it's over a B, so slash B over B. So it's just denoting what note is in the bass. So here's a G chord. And here's a G slash B chord. Or here's a G/D chord. Because it's just denoting, here's a G, I guess you could have a G/G, just like making sure that you've got a G in the bass. It's less important on a mandolin because it's so high pitched. I'm used to reading them, so that they do definitely come up, but in general, you know, you're often going to be playing with a guitar or a piano or a bass. And so anything with a lower bass register is going to be a little more important to, you know, get those slash chords and really make sure what's going on. So an example of how that might be used is, let's see, if we have a chord progression, we're in the key of G and it goes G, C, G, D, and back to G. And maybe it's a G/D. So you have a G chord with a D in the bass. And then it goes to a C with a C in the bass. And it goes to a G/B. And then a D/A. And then a G/G, or just G. So what that does is it actually creates a little bass run. So using those slash chords can really kind of help you kind of create a very melodic bass line. That's a common way that those sort of things will work. Have you ever learned anything like a theme for a TV show or something just because you like it? Good question. I think I worked on the Simpsons theme song once. But I can't play it anymore, and it'd be a copyright thing. What are pickup notes? Great question. So, let me find a good example. So if we have a tune, like I'll use Old French, a great tune. I teach it on my website. It sounds like this. Pickup notes would be so it's notes that kind of happen before the first big downbeat in the tune. Because, you know, if you were to count off the tune and say, all right, let's play Old French, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that first note really landed on the 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But you can have those pickup notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So their downbeat still lands on that 5th fret. We have this little pickup note section. Just kind of gets you into the tune. Play A minor in F clef and C in G clef. I don't know what that means. Second tone of the slash is the bass tone. Yeah, great questions. I agree, KK Black Swan. What strings do you recommend? I just recommend any kind of classic phosphor bronze medium set. I'm not really string brand. I have no allegiance to any real string brand. I use D'Addario. They're called EJ74s. It's just the medium gauge. On this mandolin, because it's a modern instrument and I play pretty hard, I actually use slightly heavier gauge, the EJ75s. Just kind of a medium heavy gauge. I wouldn't do that on an old, lighter built instrument, but there we have it. But yeah, that's just what I play. If you're playing electric and have like a magnetic pickup, you need to use nickel strings. But for just straight acoustic mandolin, medium gauge phosphor bond strings is... Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Thanks, Gary. I get mixed up with the with all the chat going back and forth. Yeah, so, or, also it's a little bit of personal preference. If you want to if you don't play really hard and you want to try light strings, go for it. They can be a little kind of brighter sounding. So like on this old bullback, which is really lightly built, I've got light gauge strings on it because that's the only thing to do. That thing, the bullbacks are very lightly built. You don't want to put a whole ton of tension on them. They have enough problems as they are. Thomas sticks are great, yeah. Those are flat wound strings. So most strings have like this round wound sound, but you can get strings that are they're still wound, but they're flat rather than round wound. So they sound like kind of your unwound strings, and they're a little easier on the fingers and make for a kind of a quieter playing experience because you don't get that kind of string noise. Favorite tune of all time? All right, probably Old French. I don't know. There's so many good tunes. It depends. Yeah. Well, actually, I've got to go. It's after 11 o'clock. You guys are you're mandolin monsters here. Easy way to tell when it's time to change strings. There's a couple ways. Your strings will kind of wear out over time. They'll get less bright and zingy. They'll start to sound more like muted. And if your strings are sounding like, it's very overemphasized, but they sound a little more muted versus, then that putting on new strings can really like brighten up the sound of the instrument. Sometimes as the strings stretch, that you'll kind of lose a little bit of intonation precision. The strings won't sound quite as in tune. You'll tune them up and it'll sound just not as in tune. That's a good reason to change your strings. I like strings that aren't like brand new, so I put strings on and then like about a week later, then I'm like, now this mandolin is in perfect string zone. Do I play on alternate tunings? I do, not so much on, well, occasionally. I've been through periods in my life where I use different alternate tunings. GDAD is a tuning I use a lot on octave instruments, like octave mandolin, bouzouki sort of things. You can do that on a mandolin as well. I've got a lesson on alternate tunings or cross tunings. Yeah, people are distracting the teacher. All right, let's play a little bit of Salt Creek, and then I gotta run. But Salt Creek is the tune of the day. Way this works, we'll pass it back and forth. I'll start out by playing the melody. You play the chords, then I'll play the chords. You play the melody. Not too fast. Here we go. Here we go. You take it. A2. B part. Go for it. B. Going out. All right, there we go. Well, whatever that tune is. Salt Creek. All right, thanks everybody. Last thing to do is pick a tune for next week. So throw it in the chat. What do you want to play? And I'll look through my notes here and see if we've done it before. It's getting harder and harder to pick ones we haven't done because we're over 100 episodes of this crazy thing. So throw them in the chat and I'll look through. Oh, I had a... Well, no, that was something else. Never mind. Cool. I'm glad everybody's enjoying themselves. It's always fun to do. Ooh, we could do Gallopede. Or... Oh, what about Jim Shank? You haven't done Jim Shank? I'm calling it. I apologize. Things are a little delayed, but I'm gonna call on Jim Shank. Silver Spear. Did I even teach that tune? I don't know how that tune goes. Silver Spear. Is it the Silver Spear? Oh, it is. All right, yeah, let's do the Silver Spear. Take it all back. Jim Shank another time. Next week. Silver Spear. Shady Grove. Oh, man, so many good ones. Let's do Silver Spear. That's one that I gotta remember myself. It's good for me. I'm playing Irish tunes again, so it's good to remember them. Shady Grove next week. Man, I am out of it. Silver Spear next week. A great reel in the key of D, I believe, but I better double check on that. In any case, we'll have a fun time. See you all next week. Patrons, see you tomorrow. So, yeah, thanks all for hanging out, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.